I just want to be free. I don't want to repeat the same day over and over. But I can't get out. I just want to be free, but I can't get out.
I'm lucky enough to be Amber's grandma. I work in retail, so I've worked all the way through lockdown. I've always worked in retail, but the last 3 months has been the hardest time I've known. The hours are long and the shifts we do can be very late. All I seem to do is go to work and come home. I miss all my family very much, as they all usually just pop in daily.
I met Amber about 8 years ago at an after-school club. We were both in a musical theatre show and we've been best friends ever since. I've been trying to finish my degree in lockdown, so I've been a mess. It's such a stressful time as it is, but lockdown's just added to the pressure.
That's really nice. Could do with seedless jam. It's a nice cake though, that, to be fair.
It looks lovely, thank you.
I was getting ready to go to work on a late shift and it put a smile on my face to face the day.
Oh, hello. What a surprise. I've not seen Amber in ages, so it was really lovely to see her. She brought my favourite cake, which I can't wait to eat. That was nice.
To see Amber stood on the doorstep was lovely, and to see she had made a cake and brought some round was a lovely surprise, which made my day.
It kind of makes you feel loved and cared for, and cake just makes everything better, even lockdown.
Islander, that is me. Not by birth, but by blood. The sun beating down on my warm melanin skin, making me wonder what kind of hellhole have I put myself in. I am an islander, not by birth, but by choice. I am freedom within itself. Do not bind me by your laws. An islander by heart, who has set herself apart from the expectations of this world and the future that is yet to come.
Welcome to my inner thoughts, a place where Deanna can be free and be whoever she wants to be. Maybe that's my little island, my mind.
I find comfort in knowing places, knowing faces, but even sometimes it feels disconnected.
Every time I think of home, I think of St. Lucia. And I would love to visit there again. Very, very, very soon.
As I stir awake, I realise that it's not quite morning. It is later than I woke the day before, so that's something, I suppose. My phone screen competes with the moonlight for dominance. Is it you? No. 1,000 dead in the last 24 hours. PM in high spirits. Fuck. It hasn't always been this way. Freedom, long since forgotten. Does everyone feel marooned? An old saying about a certain creek and a lack of paddle comes to mind. The front door closes behind me. The day's warmth flushes my cheeks. The breeze tussles my hair, which is longer than it's been in years. I take my first step, feeling selfish for venturing out. Is this an essential trip? I pass a group of kids on bikes. Shouldn't they be in school? What day is it? Walking in the road to keep a wide berth, I press on, joining the queue that snakes the perimeter of my local supermarket. Gloved hands reaching into pockets, masks resting on chins, rendering both completely useless. Everyone seems so full of distrust, more so than usual in London anyway. I grab the essentials: eggs, bread, ingredients for the week's dinners. Some loo roll? Hey, that's back at least. I eye the bus timetable wearily, bag hanging heavily on my shoulder, and precious paper rolls clutched tenderly under one arm. I can walk it. There are still plenty of people around. I thought the streets would be emptier during the end of the world. Maybe it just feels that way. And why has everyone had the sudden urge to take up jogging? I miss my friends, my family. I miss you. The sun is beginning to set. Is the day over already? Time for a walk. It's warm enough that I don't need a jacket, but there's enough of a breeze to encourage me to keep moving. You reply. I smile. I sit for a while. The drink, or three, that I sank before I left will fend off the night air long enough to let me take in my surroundings. The quiet calmness around me relinquishes the day's worries. That same song vying for my attention from the headphones around my neck. Time to head home. I rest my spinning head against the fridge. It's cold. I pour myself a glass of water. It's warm, but I don't mind. I crawl into bed and close my eyes to give the illusion of sleep. The Sandman doesn't seem to visit much these days. The moon cranes her neck through my window, and I stare back. I think of tomorrow, ready to try again.
My name's Lynn Greaves and I'm a student nurse and pre-reg nurse. I was called to the front line of the pandemic in around April, beginning of April, and started my current post mid-April. Being called into the front line was quite scary at first, purely because it was fear of the unknown. Nobody knew what was happening, including the nurses and staff on the ward. It was overwhelming at first because there were so many patients, not enough staff, and it was quite chaotic. People were working together well as a team, but the doctors didn't know what was going on, which led to the nurses not knowing really who to turn to. A nurse could have 3 to 4 patients who are all critically ill and who require one-to-one monitoring, so the ratio was completely out of control at that point. Literally on my first shift I was called to prepare a body that had died throughout the night. So I was left alone to do that. I did get some assistance with it, but that was quite overwhelming. Some of the negative things that I saw on the ward were early on in the pandemic, when we were losing a lot of patients, very healthy patients that came in with no underlying health conditions, were dying quite young, and that was very overwhelming. Literally, when I first started there were just bodies all laid out that were sedated. So there were patients laid out that looked literally like corpses. They were either on their front or their back. They were all sedated, and that was quite difficult to see, and it was a very strange thing to witness. I think you do have to mentally prepare for a shift at first, because the first few shifts were completely new and overwhelming. So you do have to, get your thoughts together and try and just focus on the job at hand, and not think about what the outcome might be. It's nice to get out, particularly as we're in lockdown at the minute. So it's a new way of helping your mental attitude. It's something we probably didn't focus on too much before, but particularly now in lockdown, I've found that it helps to give you a new perspective and enjoy what's around us, what greenery we have around us. I find that nature's important to me. It improves my mental health. You think about the here and now, where you are, rather than what's happened or what's going to happen in the future. And I find that it really has a positive impact on my mental health. Just being in nature just helps you sort of escape reality. It almost feels like a dream that you're in. Keeps your imagination going, and thinking about the positive things rather than the negative. Being with my daughter does help me cope, because she's the only family member I can properly see at the moment and talk to about the things that are happening at the hospital. So it's nice to have someone to talk to. It helps me to clear my head and just distract me from what's going on at the hospital. Now that I've been working there a couple of months, I'm starting to see improvement in the patients and how it's affecting them. It's a good feeling to be knowing that we're making a difference to get them on their feet again. I do feel proud that I've been able to help, and so it will definitely be something to look back on and think I did my bit and was proud to help.
It's not for me to say you love. Go with the brothers, boo, you know how we do. It's
Lockdown leads to like staying home
Okay, and
and like studying and not go out too much.
okay. So at home, what have you been doing?
I've been doing some reading, studying, we've been doing some science and just watching movies late night and go to bed really late, like 3 or 4.
Did you miss school?
Yeah, I do. I miss my friends, my study, my friends.
Ari, did you miss school?
Hate this video. That's done.
Feel like I'm stuck on an island. Feel like I'm stuck confined. I'm phoning a friend, but they will not answer. Feel like I'm stuck on an island. Feel like I'm stuck on an island. Feel like I'm stuck and confined. I'm phoning a friend, but they will not answer. I need an escape, but I cannot find one. Trying to find the crack in the blinds. Show me the lights, but I'm blinded. Feel like I'm stuck on an island. Feel like I'm stuck and confined. I'm phoning a friend, but they will not answer. Need an escape, but I cannot find one. Feel like I'm stuck in a cell. Some stuck in heaven, I'm stuck in hell. Light, take me to heaven and face the face of disgrace. Well, we're stuck in ourselves. Stuck by ourselves, keeping the distance, ain't keeping well. Pausing our dreams, God, I ain't sleeping well. Keep wishing, stuck inside this wishing well. News is deep, like while I'm stuck in. Stay well, get paid well, that's if you're lucky. Life is ugly, life is mucky, icky, sticky situation that we're freaking stuck in. Or find a way out, but I'm sick of looking. Feel like I'm stuck on an island. Feel like I'm stuck and confined. I'm phoning a friend, but they will not answer. I need an escape, but I cannot find one. Trying to find the crack in the blind. Show me the lights, I thought that I'm blinded. Feel like I'm stuck on an island. Feel like I'm stuck and confined. I'm phoning a friend, but they will not answer. Need an escape, but I cannot find one. Trying to find the crack in the blind. Show me the lights, I thought that I'm blinded. Take this time for yourself, yeah. Put time in yourself, yeah. Feeding healthy from this health scare. Break out your prison cell, yeah. Call me on the cell, there. Wanna talk, I was chilling in the park. Now the scene for my daily walk. No way to pay me for, nothing to pay me for. We were stuck indoors. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Feel like I'm stuck on an island. Feel like I'm stuck and confined. I'm phoning a friend, but they will not answer. Need an escape, but I cannot find one. Trying to find the crack in the blind. Show me the lights, I thought that I'm blinded. Feel like I'm stuck on an island. Feel like I'm stuck and confined. I'm phoning a friend, but they will not answer. Need an escape, but I cannot find one. Trying to find the crack in the blind. Show me the lights, I thought that I'm blinded.
These hands, these eyes, this face. All I want is to be me, the true me. What can I change? I guess the beard can go, but I feel manly with it. I can feel the change from man to boy with every stroke. Am I too fat? These roles, who likes them? Do I fit in? These spots I can't get rid of. Why are they here? Do they mark the times I have been bullied or depressed? My hair is a part of me. What do I do with it? Am I a man with long hair? This room, my quiet time, my place to cry. Will I change? Can I change? I feel trapped in my thoughts. Can these change? Will they change? I hope they change. This face, this body, is there any need to change?
Every body is an island. Floating, isolated. In the sands of my mind, the heat of my soul, the strange lands of my body. Surrounded by the waters of chaos, by the endless tides pulling, pushing, churning fear. Trying not to feel washed up and abandoned, but find peace in the trees, see calm in the blue skies, waiting for the moment this becomes not trapped, cut off, but solitude, a sanctuary. Everybody is an islander.
waiting for the sound of the first plane, dreaming of walking together again. A socially distant memory of sweet curry, chime of St Mary, children laughing, shouting in the playground, playing, going where the dogs can't go. Mini backpacking, cycling, walking, skipping, running, pointing at dogs peeing, cafe cleaning, sweeper sweeping, grass mowing, dog retrieving, coffee and tea drinking, broad walking, playing games, keeping the ball rolling, listening, waiting, helicopter flying, sandwich eating, invisible gardener cutting. Speaking on phones, listening to people in other places, bringing them in or escaping. Now I'm sitting, resting and wishing, missing you.
I ran out of video ideas, so I did a video where after every kill I put on a t-shirt. And I used one.
And I was like, what the fuck? And I realised a little image was like showing the controller going up and down. So I was like, oh my fuck, I like shook the controller, it charged my fucking torch in the game.
Going up for a cigarette?
You're looking forward to drink that, isn't it?
Exactly. Potem tak jak przerastają aż szparagi.
What are your best and worst things about lockdown?
Best things are probably trying new things and getting to do new things.
Best? I don't even know.
The best thing is, really, I suppose, spending more time on that Sunday around my family.
Best things would be spending time with the family, being able to do lots of little DIY jobs that never get done normally. The garden's pretty good at the moment as well.
Probably just time for myself and spending a lot of time with my family.
Cooked a lot more. I've started doing meditation at night before I go to bed. I started a YouTube channel which I'm like uploading videos on, and I've obviously had a lot more family time. Generally sort of like catching up on stuff and feeling safe and spending time with the family. My worst things are probably I'm not obviously getting to see my friends.
The worst things, probably not seeing my friends and staying at home all the time and being bored, doing the same thing most days.
The worst thing is the Sunday, after a week's worth of work, not being able to go out and spend time with my family.
Worst things would be the fact that it makes you feel a bit trapped sometimes, and the days that I'm not working are pretty boring.
The rest of the week, it doesn't really affect me because I'm still going out to work, so...
I can't go out and do what I usually do. It sometimes causes tension within the family.
I can't go to school, and that is like a big part of my life because I love my school so much.
Explain an average day of lockdown for you.
So an average day, I would wake up, I would have breakfast.
Yeah, I work from home. Then apart from that, just sit on my computer.
I'll have 3 vocational lessons in the morning. It kind of varies every couple of days though. Every day we have different lessons.
Because I'm a key worker and I go out to work, lockdown doesn't affect me. Wake up at 5 o'clock, go to work, do normal stuff, come home on normal days around about 3-4 o'clock. On my late turn days, I get home from work at about 7:30 at night.
And then I will have 3 academic lessons in the afternoon.
Wake up my youngest child who's at homeschooling, and I get in the shower, make sure we're up, dressed, etc. Turn the laptops on, and then pretty much spend the whole day on the laptop.
How would you say the lockdown has affected your mental health?
I mean, it's not really affected it that much. It's just life's very dull.
It hasn't. I think when I'm at work, I feel a lot chilled on the roads, but in general, I don't think it's affected me.
I don't think it has particularly affected my mental health at all. I suppose I can be a little bit more stressed some days, but then I would normally have more stress days if it wasn't locked down anyway, so I don't really know.
Has lockdown given you time to focus on hobbies, and if so, how?
So, like I said, I started YouTube, so I'm filming videos, and then obviously I'm planning them, and that takes like a day to plan them. Thinking of new ideas for videos.
Yeah, I mean, I can spend a lot more time on my own doing music stuff in my room, which I might not have done before.
Editing them, get my social medias up to show that I do YouTube, and then they can go check it out. I've started doing gymnastics. I always do that. My mum helps me, so thank you, Mum.
Not really. It hasn't. No. In actual fact, I think it's affected things that I like, or things like hobbies, things like music, things like going to the theatre, going to the cinema. It's kind of put a restriction on them.
I'm trying to think what I would describe my hobbies are normally. Shopping.
The world around me changed very quickly when the pandemic hit. I miss going out with my mates. Haven't seen them in a couple months. We used to meet up pretty much every day to get our university work done. Before lockdown happened, I had a pretty good routine going. I was in the gym every day, found them being closed really hard. And my girlfriend, isolated at home with her family. Not seeing her has been very difficult. But we do have regular FaceTime calls, so we can see each other through a screen. I also do this with my mum. Make sure I keep in contact with her, make sure she's doing okay. She lives in Lancing. We're a couple hours away. We haven't seen each other for a very long time. It's very upsetting not seeing us. She worries, and I worry about her. I've been trying not to let my mind wander too much. I become lost when the days go out. To keep myself busy, I've been gaming with my mates quite a lot. It's been a big part of this. I've had loads of university work to get done, so that's been taking up most of my time, making sure I don't struggle or fall behind. Sometimes I go to bed early just to get the day over with. What I'm looking forward to after lockdown is lifted, definitely going home and seeing my family, my girlfriend. Just nice to see them in person and be close with them without the danger of the virus. Can't wait for the gyms to be open. It's been really hard. I feel like all that 6 months period of strength training has gone. Especially looking forward to university opening up again, so my life has some sort of structure. My mental health hasn't been the best during this time because of my physical attributes sort of wasting away. My mind has also gone with it. It's harder than I thought to be alone, not seeing people for 2 months and interacting with people that you've seen on a day-to-day basis. It does something to you. Just not having the company of my girlfriend at nights. Thursday nights are the best times of the week. Getting to support the NHS and key workers, seeing everyone outside supporting each other. It's a very strong feeling, very uplifting. Haven't seen anyone properly in months, just the basic interactions at stores. I haven't really seen any of my friends other than through a screen or what they've been posting on Instagram. Leaving the house for the first time when lockdown was introduced, it was a bit daunting. Going shopping and the queues of people trying to get into Asda made everything quite real. I didn't know what to expect. I wasn't sure if I should be wearing a mask. Are people wearing gloves? Do I wear them? How my day-to-day life would work with social distancing. Sometimes I forget when I leave the house what's going on around me. The world is so much different than what it used to before. But it won't last forever, and everything should go back to normal soon.
So the posh name for my job is consultant child and adolescent psychiatrist. But what that means on a day-to-day basis is I work with a range of people up to the age of 18, 19 who have various mental health problems. So it might be depression, anxiety, suicidal thinking, deliberate self-harm. It's about trying to find them a way to get through life, give them resources that they can use to manage their emotional problems and generally get them to a better place. So one of the reasons why I work with young people is that with young people there's always more sense of hope in that you really think you might be able to do something better for them, give them strategies that they can use and give them things that will get them into adulthood and give them a better course through life. With adults there's less sense of hope as many of them have really chronic mental health problems that are difficult to address. So young people do feel more hopeful. So in terms of a pandemic, there was talk about one happening at some point, but I guess this one came up quite quickly out of the blue, and how we were going to cope as individuals and as a community was quite difficult to predict. But I think that things in general are working out quite well, although who knows whether we've got the right strategy in this country. And we were thinking about how it would impact upon people's mental health. Obviously there's been lots in the media and the press about how it might affect people. And as clinicians, we knew that on an individual basis, some of our patients, our clients would really struggle. So there have been two groups, I think, that have been noteworthy. The first were young people who already thought that the world was a threat and already were worried about what might happen. So for them, their worst nightmare has come true in that suddenly there was something tangible that they needed to be scared of, and they have really shut down and needed considerable amount of therapeutic work. For the second group, They were worried about going out the front door, they were worried about going to school and interacting with other people, and suddenly they no longer had to do that. So there is definitely a group where their mental health has improved and where they are finding life a lot easier. I don't know what will happen when they do then have to go back to school, but certainly for them, the pandemic and the lockdown has been easy. As a team, we were worried about what would happen in the prison. Our boys were previously going to education 6 hours a day, they were meeting people, they were mixing, they were seeing each other, which was really, really important for them. And suddenly they're now locked up 23 hours out of every 24. So they were allowed out for 20 minutes of exercise and 20 minutes of association where they can talk to each other. And this has meant that for some of them, their world has completely collapsed. They can't have face-to-face contact with their families, they can only phone them, they can't even video call them. So there has been an increase in some young people's suicidal thinking. Some of them have got really depressed and felt isolated. We're working with the suicidal ones very closely because we're trying to help them get through what is a really difficult time. And sometimes boys just contact us and ask to talk to someone because they're feeling so isolated. So there's lots that we can do, even though it's more difficult for us to do it. In terms of my own mental health, well, in order to do my job, I have to be fairly robust. So I tend to cope with most things, and I don't overtly show what the stress and what the difficulties are. But clearly, lockdown has meant lack of contact with people that I love and a change in how I live my day-to-day life. But in general, I think things are feeling easier, and I think we'll get somewhere in the near future where life feels a little bit more back to how it should be. Do I think that our way of life has changed forever? I think it would be nice to believe that the people next door and the people down the road and the people in neighbouring areas were going to be kinder and more gentle on each other, and that people were going to put each other first in a way that they haven't done probably for many, many years. But in reality, is that likely to happen, or do you think we'll just drift back to how we were, with most people prioritising what they want and making sure they get what they want, rather than thinking about the people next door? I think it's impossible to tell at this point in time, but it would be good to think that the world had changed for the better.
you must stay at home. Because the critical thing we must do to stop the disease spreading between households, that is why people will only be allowed to leave their home for the following very limited purposes. Shopping,